Money doesn't grow on trees. It's in another person's pockets. Finvolution aims to be a finance company with an IT overcoat that expands their loan product offerings, increases their customer acquisition channels, improves their brand recognition, and leverages their AI capabilities. Good afternoon. I am Catherine, and my teammates are Fong, Anne, and Lynn. And we, as One Stone Consultants, are proudly representing Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University and are here to put our 2 cents in about how Finvolution can rise to the top and become the next Amazon of finance. Next, please. Finvolution has developed strong, innovative technologies to provide customers with core areas of credit risk assessment, fraud detection, big data, and artificial intelligence. They aim to expand their product offering domestically and expand in Southeast Asia. We, as One Stone Consultants, aim to take Finvolution's strength in technology and experience in the field to expand in the domestic market and internationally. We have detailed our strategies based on the short term, midterm, as well as long term. Next, please. Finvolution originally operated through P2P for small unsecured loans, but due to Chinese regulation, they moved to only funding from financial institutions. Finvolution currently has smart consumer services, such as a prediction-based AI with robot collection loans. Furthermore, they have strategic partnerships with companies such as AI Bank and China Everbright Trust. They are also adept in their IT technology and develop programs such as the Magic Mirror system and Magpie Bridge system. Next, please. Who is Finvolution's user base? The company currently has over 108 million users and 18 million borrowers in China. 85% of their user base is millennials. Furthermore, 60% of young people have thought of starting their own business. Therefore, this is a huge target market opportunity for Finvolution. Additionally, out of the users that have previously borrowed loans, 81% are repeat borrowers. For fintech companies, rural areas have posed a challenge to provide loans for, but Finvolution's low marginal cost and price points have presented them with an opportunity to penetrate this market. Next slide, please. The 2 overarching objectives that Finvolution has are number 1, broaden their user base within China, and number 2, expand in Southeast Asia, specifically beginning with Indonesia. Next, please. Why specifically Indonesia? Indonesia's internet economy has been vastly growing and has a relatively high GDP penetration. Therefore, it makes it an optimal market for Finvolution's entrance. Next slide, please. Indonesia is additionally a good investment as their relations are growing with China, and Indonesia accounts for China's 2nd largest source of foreign direct investment. Additionally, there is a large unbanked market with an unemployment rate of 5.2%. Finvolution can capitalize on Indonesia's growing internet infrastructure and the company's fast adoption of a cashless society. Although, like in China, it is vital for Finvolution to be cautious of tightening P2P regulations in Indonesia. Now my colleague Fong will highlight the problems as well as the strategies and implementation.
So now I would like to identify the problems. So Finvolution is now doing a good job within China. However, with the growing of fintech industry and more competitors in the field, there is a need for the company to expand their business and diversify their service, especially if they aim to be the next Amazon. Second problem would be when they penetrate new market in Southeast Asia, such as issue of lacking database, connection with local financial institutions. Also, they might face the problem of standardization and localization of their business model in other countries in accordance with the regulations there. Next slide, please. Therefore, based on the problem, we highlight 2 main goals of Finvolution. First, to expand the domestic market with more service, and second, to raise brand recognition as well as building strong connection with local firms once they go international. And the first destination is Indonesia. In order to attain those goals, we have developed both domestic strategy and international strategy for Finvolution, divided into short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Next slide, please. So for the domestic development of the company, we would like to suggest the new service, which is a donation-based crowdfunding service. This service is aimed at startups that want to raise funds for their business, since currently 60% of people in China say that they wanted to start their own business. Before coming up with this idea, we did consider other alternatives, such as introducing fintech insurance, foreign exchange service, or consulting service for young enterprise. However, those solutions did not seem feasible to us for two main reasons. First, Chinese government have very strict regulation on transaction of foreign currency. And second, there are already many strong competitors in those services that we cannot differentiate ourselves from, such as PayPal or VCG. Next slide, please. Therefore, after careful consideration, the new model of FinFund is the most beneficial and can add value to our own existing system. I would like to explain how this works. Within the FinFund platform, startups can pitch their ideas of business to apply for fundraising projects. Our existing tool, which is Magic Mirror, can evaluate the profile of the business and based on that to decide the amount of money they can raise. Donors can access the platform and donate to any business that they find interesting or benefit the community. The money will be donated through the FinFund account. Once the goal of funding is reached, the money will be transferred to startup. With each donation, our system will charge 3%. After receiving the money, startup can also update their progress of money use and their business to the platform as reference for donors. This update will be taken into consideration for evaluating the credibility of the business for using any of our service later on. And now my colleague Anne will explain Finvolution international strategy.
So now I would like to walk you through our proposed strategy for Finvolution to expand to Indonesia. We have two objectives for this strategy. First one is to raise our brand awareness in Indonesia, and secondly, to build strong connections with local financial institutions. For the first objective, our strategy is to establish and promote the use of our own e-wallet, and to build better connection with financial institution will help to improve financial literacy in Indonesia, partner with and provide financial institutions with our AI technology, and gradually switch into individual and institution model. Next slide, please. So first of all, raising brand recognition in Indonesia. The first step of our short-term strategy is to develop an e-wallet platform. So why an e-wallet platform? There's a saying that goes, a light purse is a heavy curse, but it is not necessarily the case in this day and age. E-wallets are simple to use and easy to adopt. So that's why we believe that it will help Finvolution to raise the brand recognition in Indonesia, and also integrate the use of fin technology into people's daily life. So for our target market, we believe that Finvolution should target the underserved market. In Indonesia, there are 47 million underbanked population and 92 million unbanked adults. So the underserved market is big, the internet penetration is high, and e-money transaction amount increasing very rapidly. So we believe that this is a huge opportunity that Finvolution should capture. Next slide, please. For the second step of our short-term strategy, we suggest that Finvolution penetrate into the P2P lending industry. So one advantage that Finvolution has already have is the license of OJK, and the main differentiation of Finvolution for this strategy is its excellent credit rating system. Next slide, please. So for the midterm plan, our challenge here is limited financial and technological literacy and the trust in banks and also mobile apps. So our proposed strategy is to build an agent network to improve financial literacy. We will have well-trained bank agents and equipped with mobile technology. And these agents will introduce people in rural area about finance, personal finance, financial services that are beneficial to them, and FinVolution's services. So with this proposed strategy, because it will help to achieve the goal of improving financial literacy, establish trust, acquire more users, and this is also cost effective. According to our research, in Indonesia, there are only 38% of the population is financial literate right now, and we hope to bring this number to 48% with our agent network initiatives. Next slide, please. Moving on to our long-term plan, we believe that first, FinVolution should switch into individuals and institution model because this is a more sustainable model in the future. And FinVolution should partner with more local financial institutions, and this will create a win-win situation. The financial institution will be provided with FinVolution excellent technology, and FinVolution will also help the firms to reach out to more customer, and FinVolution in return will receive more data about the user. Next slide, please. So for our consideration for the future, we believe that FinVolution should also expand to other Southeast Asian countries. And the first consideration is Vietnam, because in Vietnam, currently there is a huge market potential. 90% of the transactions nowadays are still conducted in cash, and the government is promoting investment in fintech. 63% of the total investment nowadays will go to fintech startup. And similar to Indonesia, in Vietnam, there is a fast adoption of cashless society. So next, my colleague will explain about our executive timeline and also our financial.
Next, I'm going to explain about the executive timeline about how our strategies are going to implement it in the next few years. So first of all, in China, the FinFund project, we expect that this will not be a short-term thing, but rather become an added value, another branch of business operation for FinVolution in China in the long run. And in Indonesia, in the short term, we suggest that they start implement their e-wallet system as soon as possible within the first 3 years to introduce the underserved market with the usage of mobile apps and just basic cashless financial transactions. And they should also start conducting their P2P business from 2022 while maintaining transparency as much as possible to comply with the governmental regulations. And in the midterm, we suggest that they develop their agent network in Indonesia to educate the people and increase the financial literacy in the underserved market to start introducing other financial services that FinVolution can offer, and the main thing is our B2C service. So from 2024, the B2C service, which is connecting the individuals with the partner financial institutions in Indonesia, will be implemented using the database that we have developed within the first 3 years of working with the underserved market. And we also suggest that FinVolution conduct more research and development to improve their technologies for their own use and offer to other partner financial institutions. And from 2028, they can start considering expanding to other countries once they have been able to manage their operations in Indonesia. We've also prepared some financial information. First of all, some of the key business expenses in the FinFund project in China is the cost to develop the new functions, which should be around $70,000 according to our research. And they should also take into consideration the cost to promote the new service, which should account for 5% their current marketing expense. In the international market, Indonesia in particular, they should pay the upfront cost to develop the FinPay app, which should be $200,000 at most. And for the agent network initiative, according to our observation of other agent network that other companies have implemented, the cost of hiring an agent for a month is around $100. Therefore, with 500 agents deployed a month, the cost should be around $50,000 in total. And regarding revenue projection for FinFund, from our observation of other crowdfunding services, in the first year, FinFund should be able to acquire around $10 million, and the figure should continue to gradually increase and finally double by the fourth year, reaching over $20 million. And regarding the development of the Indonesian market, we suggest that FinVolution should first focusing on increasing the financial literacy of the underserved market and introducing their financial services to the market. And when they can start implementing their B2C business, that's when they can start gaining more profits. And we believe that because we are trying to adapt their strategies in China to the local Indonesian market, we believe that the Indonesian development will mirror that of China, but at a faster rate. And because of the increasing development of fintech within the world and as well as in the Asia Pacific area. And however, there might be some risks that they have to take into consideration to mitigate. First of all, consumers might use other crowdfunding services that have already been available in China. Therefore, we suggest that they highlight the strength of their credit rating assessment and evaluation system, which is one of their competitive advantage, to make sure that any startup or social enterprise or charity cause that want to ask for crowdfunding on their platform will be credible and reliable. And to take care of the possible fraud risks, they should continue to do R&D and strengthen their cybersecurity. Thirdly, to cope with strict government regulations, the companies should try to be as transparent as possible when disclosing their company data to establish their authority and credibility. And lastly, to deal with strong competition from other e-wallets in Indonesia, we want to emphasize that our target market is very different from theirs. We're playing a different playground. We're targeting the underserved market in Indonesia rather than the bigger cities where most e-wallet services are prevalent. And in conclusion, it can be seen that both in China and Indonesia, the fintech industry will continue to develop from here on out. And though they will face some problems both in the domestic and international market, with our strategies and our 2 cents put in, we expect to put FinVolution to the top. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation. It's now time for the Q&A session. The 15-minute countdown will start now. Thank you. Let's hear the first question, please.
I'd like to ask the team, Team One Stone, the recommendation that you make is to first protect China and launching a FinFund model, and then while at the same time like expanding internationally into Indonesia. Can I just say, get some understanding in terms of like the thinking around the recommendation? And any key assumptions that you have made about China, the FinFund model, or analysis around any contingency and dependency for you to be successful to launch in China the FinFund model, and how specifically that relates to the regional expansion.
Thank you so much for the question. So I would like to address the first point of the question, which is the assumption that we make before suggesting this solution. So yes, crowdfunding is not really a new idea in China and in the world as well. In China, it has since 2009, and we saw a trend in the crowdfunding in China. And actually, nowadays there are a lot already more than 200 crowdfunding platform in China. However, we saw that like different from the Western, why crowdfunding is mostly equity based, which means that you're gonna get some kind of equity share in return for financial backing. However, in China, people are not really interested in equity based crowdfunding because they afraid of the high risk. But we and Chinese people are kind of the biggest online spender. Therefore, they are more prone to donation-based crowdfunding as well as rewards-based crowdfunding. That's why we come up with this idea to promote the donation-based crowdfunding at first. And also, because according to the statistic, currently there are 108 million users for our platform. However, only 18 million are actually borrowers, meaning that around more than 84% do not actually get a loan from financial institutional. So we want to aiming at that 84% who actually couldn't get a loan, maybe due to some problem with their credit. And that's why giving them a chance to actually raise funds, not only getting loan from our platform. So that is the assumption. And moving on to the next point of the question, which is how this adoption of this new service can help China as well as the expansion in regional. So for China, because we have the very huge strength in technology, especially the magic mirror. And this one is our differentiation, our unique selling point compared to others platform of crowdfunding such as Taobao or JD.com. We can really evaluate the profile of the business, and we can give the limited amount of egg funds according to the credibility of egg business. That's why we can base on our current existence and add value to that. That is for China. And for regional, because we know that getting loan for other countries also require a lot of legal regulation. So in the future, when we want to really start up our business in different places in Southeast Asia, crowdfunding is also a trend for Southeast Asia, especially for new startups. Yeah, I hope that my part answer your question. And if any colleagues want to add on, please do so.
Yes, I would like to add on a little point is that according to the case, there are 90% of the young people want to have more challenging jobs, and also 60% of them thought of starting their own business. The problem they're having is access to more funding. So we believe that our FinFund model and also the lending system, like between the individual and institutional, will help them to create, bring them more strength to start their own business.
I would like to add to my colleagues' answers. So you can see here, we will also ask the startup borrowers to provide progress to increase their donation range next time. So at first we'll limit their donation amount, and then after they provide enough progress to show the donors that they are reliable, then they can continue to ask for more crowdfunding, and we'll provide a larger range next time for donors to make donation to make these startup ideas happen.
Okay. I have a question about the cost and benefit analysis. Can you bring that slide up? Yeah. So first question, I mean, what's the currency used in your financial analysis? I assume that is US dollar, right? The second one is, I mean, have you considered other costs in this analysis? Because right now you seem to only look at the technology development costs, whereas, I mean, in your
I'm sorry, but it seemed to me that I couldn't hear you very clearly, Mr. Lisa.
Sorry. So my second part of the question is, I mean, have you considered other costs as well? I mean, this seems to be only focused on the technology investment.
So thank you for your question. I would like to answer this. So in our financial information, we outline the key business expense, and yeah, this is the technology cost, but also the marketing cost. And we think that because FinFund is a new add-on service, it will take up like 5% of the current marketing cost, and these are the two main keys expensive.
I would like to address that this is just a rough estimation, just a very rough estimation of the business expenses. And to really carry this out, we'll need to do much more research to make sure that all of the possible operating expenses can be covered.
Okay. Thank you.
On this slide, how did you estimate 500 agents?
So from our research, we looked into other agent network initiatives that other companies have carried out. And it seems that the general number is around 500, and they may deploy more over the years. And we decided to start with the number 500 at first.
I would like to add on that is that first of all, we will target the west part of Indonesia because that is the region where there is high internet available and also mobile data availability. So at first we will target there, and then we will test the market to see how much more agent that we need. So 500 is our first estimated number.
Tim, can we go back to the executive summary slide, the first one? Then can you share with us specifically, so you cover short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So what would the business look like in 3 years' time? So can you just use this slide to explain to us a little bit more in terms of like what should we be expecting in 3 years' time?
Thank you for your question. So in 3 years' time in China, we can expect that the FinFund become operationalized, become another branch of business operation of FinVolution in China. And for Indonesia, so in the short term, we expect that they should focus more on increasing the financial literacy with their e-wallet system and the agent network initiative at first. So that will be our outlook within the first 3 years.
Yes, and I would like to add on a little bit. So regarding the FinFund project, because we already have the existing technology and system, that's why in 3 years it's very okay for it to be operationalized perfectly. And also, as I already mentioned, we would like to targeting 80%, 84% of our users to be a customer of the FinFund in the next 3 years. Yes.
Can you go to the risk slide, please?
Risk slide, please, Lynn.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
The risk slide, please.
The risk, yes.
So here you have looked into the fraud part, into the consumer part, the government regulations, and the competition. What about the technical risk part or operational risk part? Do you think they are relevant and we should look into them as well?
Thank you for your question. We believe that with continuing research in developing their technologies to improve their assessment system, then their system can become more reliable in evaluating the borrowers as well as those that want to join the crowdfunding system.
Furthermore, I'd like to add, technologically speaking, this company is fully advanced in their IT capabilities, with especially through their use of smart customer services, as well as they have strong security with their Magic Mirror and Magpie Bridge system. And as stated in the case, this company has heavily relied on R&D development, and we expect that they'll continue to rely on R&D heavily and increase their security. Thank you.
And on this same last slide, I mean, you talk about strict government regulations. What sort of government regulations, I mean, are you in mind in terms of, I mean, this risk? And your mitigation action is to have more data transparency. I mean, can you elaborate a little bit more on that to address the government regulations that you try to address?
Thank you for your question. So we believe that the stricter government regulations are there to protect the lenders, which were the individuals in the P2P service, and later on the financial institutions in the B2C services. So therefore, they are demanding more transparency from us, those that are the middlemen to provide that service. Therefore, we suggest that FinVolution try to be as transparent as possible when conducting their businesses to cope with the stricter government regulations. And they should also improve their already developed evaluation system to reliably judge whether the borrower is worth the risk or not. And with those two efforts, we believe that it's will be enough to cope with the government regulations, whether it be in China or in other countries such as Indonesia or next destination.
I would like to add on a little bit. On this. So regarding within China, and since our FinFund is targeting startup, and many of them will be the social enterprise, which means that they claim they have the social motivation for their business. And this is also related to a regulation in China. So since 2011, this the social enterprise certification go into public agenda of China, of many cities, including Beijing and Chengdu, which are two main cities in China. And that's why nowadays government have a really tight regulation on which kind of business can affirm themselves as a social enterprise. And we would like to comply closely with that to evaluate the business, whether it's really transparent, whether it's really social orientated. So yes.
Thank you, everyone. The judges will now stay in the room to deliberate. Dear team, we will place you in the waiting room for a few minutes and bring you back in for the feedback session. Everyone else, please kindly leave the room, and we'll see you later for the results announcement. Thank you.